Um, what the heck did I just watch? Was that really the series finale of And Just Like That? That had to be one of the worst episodes of television that I've ever experienced in my entire life. That wasn't even good enough to be a season finale, let alone a series finale. Of course, no matter how MPK and SJP tried to spin it, they clearly were blindsided and thought that this show was going to go forever and didn't realize that this was going to be their series finale because the show got canceled. And after watching an episode like this, the very last episode of And Just Like That, you know why. It becomes abundantly clear. If anyone of the executives at HBO saw this, they'd know this show cannot possibly continue in any trajectory or any alternate universe or in any way, space, or form. No. I just can't believe what I just saw. The whole episode was about half an hour, 30 minutes long, and I would say a good 25 minutes of it was just various men peeing in a toilet or watching a toilet with actual turds floating around in it. I don't know if that's what MPK thinks of his fans, but it was a literal shit show. And I don't use the word literal, okay? But this time it fits. Oh my gosh. I can't even talk about it. You know, I was so ready to, toast to the show. I thought, oh, maybe they'll try to tie something together. I got my Cosmo ready. I was so excited to see the very last of the Sex and the City story, the very last episode, and it was just such a huge letdown. Do you know there was not even a single time, not a single moment, when all three of the main girls, sans Samantha, were like even together in one room? I expected at least they could give us them all sitting down, laughing, enjoying their friendship, that sort of thing. And the way the story ends, yes, it's Carrie accepting that she is not alone, but on her own, which that's the same thing, but whatever. But she wasn't alone. She had her friends, and we didn't even get to see that. We didn't even get to see her celebrate her quote-unquote soulmates, but I guess they all hate each other now at this point. I'm not really sure. Not even a fake little text message from Samantha or anything like that. I mean, it just felt, I've never felt so anticlimacticized in my life. It didn't pull anything together. And, Carrie dancing around in her apartment, listening to Barry White. I mean, how is that the ending of this story? It baffles me. Yeah, so this was mostly a Thanksgiving episode, which was bizarre because they walked around outside and it looked all lush and green. Even on Friends, they would throw a few like orange or yellow, red or orange leaves on the ground to like make it feel Thanksgiving-y. But this didn't feel like Thanksgiving at all, right? It started out with a very fun and summery sort of bridal fashion show. And in this fashion show, well, first of all, Carrie and Seema are talking the whole time, like full, they're not whispering like you're supposed to at a fashion show. And I can't believe people around them didn't say, we're not interested in your love life, can you, or lack thereof, so can you please quiet down? No, they're just like talking at full volume, completely ignoring the show. But the show was filmed, the fashion show was filmed in a very bizarre way, almost like an advertisement for, I don't know, David's Bridal or something. And it was very bizarrely edited. But, you know, it was their opportunity to have a conversation, I guess. I'm not really sure. So that already set the tone. It was very bizarre. I wasn't sure what season this was. You know, like I said, it started off feeling summery and bridal, June weddings sort of thing. And before we know it, it's Thanksgiving. And apparently Carrie is a messenger running around, and she can get all over Manhattan on the busiest day of the year to hand deliver pies, you know, just hand deliver them all. I get that that's sweet, you know, but I don't understand the logistics of it. And she wasn't tired or sweating or anything like that, which I've run around New York, and the one time I ran around New York for like 10 minutes, I was completely out of breath. And, you know, I had seen a rat this big, you know, run across the subway, and I was just like traumatized. But, you know, yeah, she's apparently, you know, working for DoorDash now, and she can just hand out pies all over the place. One of the pies she gives to Anthony and Giuseppe, and Giuseppe throws the pie into Anthony's face, which means they love each other. And what a waste of money. Do you know how hard it is to get pies in New York, as the last episode showed us? So they love just wasting things in this show. They have wasted food the entire season. When we get to the Thanksgiving itself, no one eats the turkey because it was poorly cooked, and there's this whole story about cheese, and I don't even know. So no one eats that poor turkey. And then Miranda finally has, we finally get to see Steve a little bit, and they talk a little bit. And she says, oh, you know, I spent so much time teaching Brady about condoms. I even put one on the banana. What a waste of a banana. Once again, Miranda, I think, is the only one who has eaten anything in this entire series. In an earlier episode, we also saw her eating a banana, and, you know, that banana is what got her evicted from Carrie's house, which is ridiculous. So Miranda's still going on about bananas. Then we see Adam, who, you know, in between takes of him going to the restroom, because I don't know what MPK is thinking that we want to see this, but Adam goes into the restroom, you know, stark naked, and just urinates in a toilet for a good 17 minutes. And when he's not doing that, he is still working on Carrie's garden, which is, like I've said before, 100 square feet. And it's been almost a full year that he's working on this and still hasn't quite finished. And I don't see why. It's almost all pebbles. It's not even really anything. It's just, but whatever. Speaking of people who can't finish things, we also see a little bit of Lisa Todd Wexley. She's still working on this documentary. So last I heard, she'd been working on it for 8 years, but now we're at this season finale. She's still working on it, and we've entered year 9 of her trying to edit this documentary. How are all these people so rich on this show when none of them have finished anything at all? I guess the only thing that actually gets finished is Carrie finishing her book. So in the very last scene, we see that she writes an epilogue, and her epilogue, I'm not even kidding you, is 1 sentence long. That's it. It's just 1 sentence long. Who pays these people? How are they getting money? I could write an epilogue right now that's 2 sentences, and no one pays me anything. I will say, the way she danced around, she was wearing this red tutu, and that kind of harkened to her original self a little bit. It was nice to see. Even LTW had decent fashion. She wasn't so outrageously ridiculous in what she was wearing. And Simo, so they finally get all of their costumes right, but not until the very last episode at the very end of everything. So I don't even know what to say. And Carrie even mentions Big. The first time I've heard his name spoken in years. She mentions him, and it's nice to hear that she remembers and hasn't completely forgotten what happened to her, because she had gotten sort of amnesia a little bit the last couple of most of this year, just completely forgetting what her last 20 or so years were like. But yeah, she was married and she acknowledges it this time, so that's nice. There's a little bit of ginger hate going on in this episode. It starts off with them making fun of Brady's hair, and also Carrie goes into like a Japanese restaurant where they have robots and stuff, and they make her sit across this from this fake sort of stuffed animal, kind of like this, had sort of red hair, and they were like, oh, this way you won't feel alone, and they make her sit like that. And I think it's called Tommy Tomato because it has red hair. So I don't really know what's going on with that. But we had to see all of that. I don't know. Maybe if the show had continued, Brady's baby would probably have been named Tommy. They don't really ever seem to to tie any of the storylines together. So we don't really know about Brady's baby. We don't know if Brady and and Mia ever reconcile. So Mia is back. This time she's worse than ever, which is hard to believe because she's only been in another episode for a few minutes, the previous one. But she is back, and this time she's brought her clan of, their terrible stereotypes of Gen Z, just being rude and calling everyone out. I think their genders actually change a few times during Thanksgiving. Especially, I think Epcot at one point, I thought it was a she, but they called Epcot a he. So, that's all fine. I get that Gen Z has different progressive ideas about the world, but is that all they do all day long, is talk about stuff like that? And call everyone Yas Queen. And they were just like really rude to everyone at the Thanksgiving, and wearing denim. Speaking of the next generation, Lily answers the door when Carrie comes over and says, oh, Mom's busy with Dad in the bedroom. Ha ha ha. What kind of a kid thinks that's something to smirk about? Normal kids in the 90s or whatever would be like, ew, Mom, that's gross. But, who am I to say? And of course, Carrie's sitting there also at the restaurant, and she's apparently never seen an iPad before, no matter how many Macs and iPhones she's used over the years. She doesn't know how to do the iPad. Oh, she's so completely, that gets old. Once again, it looks like, I don't know what MPK is thinking with these characters. Rather than showing them as strong, intelligent women, he's showing them completely inept, falling over each other, falling down constantly like Charlotte. Carrie can't work. She can't work a phone. She can't work an iPad. And Lisa Todd Wexley is there at home with her man baby of a husband who has been moping and whining the entire season. And, she has to sit there and try to heal the marriage and all of that. Instead of her saying, you know what, get out of bed. You're being a little man baby. We've got work to do here. And why don't you help out around the house or something like that? Instead, she's, chasing after hamsters and reciting her vows to him in bed, trying to appease him. And it's like, why? So I just one of the worst Thanksgiving episodes I've ever seen from any TV show. I can't quite believe how it ended or even how that Thanksgiving went. I mean, we've all seen a disastrous Thanksgiving, from Everybody Loves Raymond to Friends. There's always some kind of drama. We get that. But this one was so bizarre and so anticlimactic. Basically, Carrie leaves and doesn't even say goodbye, which that's Miranda in there, She doesn't even, she just walks right out. And most of it is about a character named Epcot going to the bathroom. And poor Victor Garber, from the guy from Titanic, comes in, and we actually have to spend some moments with him looking into a toilet, watching it, like the Titanic, fill with water and excrement. And they actually show it. I mean, it's not... It was just the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And that's how they decided to... That's how it ends. That's how they decided to end it. With the guy from Titanic watching this entire show, and just like that, just sink and go out of existence. That's how they ended it. That's it. The only saving grace... Well, I don't even know if this was good. At the very, very end, we see the credits, and they finally play the Sex and the City music, the original music from the credits of the original show, but in a way that's almost insulting. I think that's probably the only edit they made to herald that this is a series finale, because when they finally got the notice that the show had been canceled, they had to do something to cap it off. And rather than change the story or edit any of what actually was filmed, or even show us Carrie and Miranda and Charlotte all together at one table or in one room or even in one scene all together at the same time, we didn't get any of that. It was just the original show's music in the credits. But in a way, that's kind of insulting too, because this was one of the worst episodes I've ever seen of anything on TV, from a terrible, terrible series that I wanted to love because I'm a huge fan of Sex and the City. And, most of it is about watching actual crap. And then we have to be reminded that this is related to Sex and the City by seeing that music in the credits. So that was a little jarring. It was supposed to feel nice, but it didn't. I had some really high hopes for this show, and I was disappointed with this entire series. But I was most disappointed by how it ended with, as you saw, just crap, That's what they thought about the fans. That's, and that's what they just crapped all over the legacy of the show we had come to love. And I don't even know. I've been seeing these tabloid things, like in the Daily Mail, whatever, that SJP is running all over town, trying to, talking to Netflix, talking to, I don't know, Hulu or whatever, anyone who might be able to help revive the show. But I don't know. I think this was the final nail in the coffin. Any executive worth anything can watch this and say, yeah, this show is done. What a terrible, terrible way to end it. This is the legacy that we're left with. So, but anyway, but be that as it may, it's been fun chatting with y'all this entire season of And Just Like That. I know I'm not the only one who's been hate watching this show, but it was fun to hate watch it and to chat with the fans. And I think what it did do was help us relive what we loved the most from the original show, Sex and the City, and make us at least appreciate what a great show it was, because it's been a while since it's been on the air, and now I want to watch the whole thing all over again, the original, and pretend that and Just Like That never happened. So let's raise our cosmos one more time to Sex and the City. It was a great show. It ended quite some time ago, and I don't know what this is. This is like on Pet Sematary, where they try to, the show's over. You can't do a Pet Sematary of Sex and the City, because then it comes back as and Just Like That, and it just becomes this terrible piece of crap that we've been watching, and especially on the very, very last episode. But anyway, thank you all so much for joining me on this ridiculous journey. I have lots of other videos. Please like and subscribe. We'll talk more about some other fun shows as well. You know me, I like to travel. I like to watch TV. I like to dream of a life of, Manhattan and, first class flights and, nice cocktails and all the things that we like from from the original show. And yeah, so hopefully, even though we're done with this journey of And Just Like That, please join me on some more journeys as we navigate this world together. So thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you in another ridiculous video. I love you, and thanks for joining me.